Hey, welcome to the Elite Health and Wellness Show. My name's Clay, and this is my buddy Nick. Nick and I go back a long way. So, how long has it been now?
15, 16 years?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yep. It seems like yesterday.
It does.
How did we meet? I can't recall.
Church. I think we met at church at Lake Point. Mm-hmm. And then we started going to LA Fitness.
Yep.
There in Rowlett. Mm-hmm. And you and I and Tom Ledbetter started working out together.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And today, Nick, you've been a patient for a number of years now, mm-hmm. and you're actually the one that turned me on to hormone replacement therapy, if you recall.
Yeah. I probably 12, 13, maybe 14 years ago, I had a neck injury. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I started seeking some pain management. Visited with a doctor not far from the studio here, mm-hmm. and started doing some pain management processes, some injections and things. And he mentioned some testosterone hormone therapy replacement, mm-hmm. which I was unfamiliar with, and also willing to try. I had low energy and some of the initial mm-hmm. Kind of symptoms, and so I wanted to go ahead and try it. So I did, and I believe after about 3 or 4 weeks, I told you about it.
Right.
And introduced you to the same physician.
Exactly. And what did that first protocol look like? You and I have been on this for a while. Mm-hmm. I've now started a clinic, and we've advanced in our regimens and what we do. And we're going to get into all of that today. But what did that first protocol look like? I think it was pretty basic, if you really even want to call it a protocol.
It was. It was just testosterone. It was injecting. And I don't remember if it was a 200 milligram test.
I think it was 200 milligram.
So just one shot a week.
And any kind of estrogen blocker, an Anastrozole? No.
No. And I can tell you, I remember getting, very sensitive.
Well, I think that was when you actually turned me on to a much more advanced clinic, which really need to thank you for that, because it's really was what caused this whole process to occur over the last, 12 to 15 years of me getting more and more knowledgeable, and then ultimately opening up a clinic. I remember going to the first doctor that put us on an Anastrozole blocker, and they were saying it's malpractice almost to not manage your estrogen levels.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I was with the local doctor, and then they were more pain management. Mm-hmm. And then I found out about another clinic that you're familiar with that we transitioned to, mm-hmm. and much more knowledgeable, much more foundational base information. And I didn't know much about it, obviously, so I wanted to learn more. He mm-hmm. put me on a blocker, and I was expressing to him how I'd had some injuries and some pain, and was the first doctor to put me on DECA.
Mm-hmm. And also known as Nandrolone, right?
So it was amazing how it took the pain from my joints
right.
and allowed me to continue working out, not necessarily pain-free, however, much more tolerable.
Sure. Certainly.
Right.
Yeah, DECA is an amazing, I tell people all the time, our buddy Troy, who recently passed, was a big believer in Nandrolone. He said, if I could go to a deserted island and I had to take one medication with me, I would take Nandrolone.
Yeah. It's interesting because you don't know what the effects are going to be, and mm-hmm. as we talked about before we started today, just the unknowns of trying something new. So I wished I'd have started it earlier, more mm-hmm. of a preventative
right.
than, a Band-Aid.
Right.
Because, since then I've had my neck fused. I did some injections of cortisone and stuff. And I'll be honest with you, the most success I've had is from the DECA.
So it's interesting you say that. So I had a buddy of mine who used to work for me for a sales organization. Mm-hmm. He, similar to us, I think you're 53 now. Mm-hmm. I'm 49. He's in his mid-50s, trains hard, takes care of himself, and I put him recently, our providers put him on Nandrolone. Okay. And first few weeks he said, I don't know anything. And then about 6 weeks in, he messaged me and said, man, this stuff's amazing. Mm-hmm. I feel like a new man. My joints don't hurt. Right. I feel unbelievable. Thank you. And I was like, yeah, it's good stuff. I haven't ever had anyone jump on Nandrolone that doesn't stay on it and think that it's mm-hmm. a game changer.
Because it allows me to do my workout more effectively, more efficiently.
Right.
I'm not hurting. My joints aren't painful. Even during the recovery of my off time, mm-hmm. I still feel good. I feel lubricated. In fact, I've taken myself off of it a time or two with regret and gone back on it almost instantly.
Yep.
You know?
Well, it's I've done it as well, and it's one of those things I want to make sure, remind myself how old I really am.
Oh yeah.
And I quickly realized that, hey, all right, this is what it really feels like. But it's an amazing healer and does an amazing job with the joints.
We talked a little bit about this. I never went from that sort of 35, 36 lethargic to like Superman power. I felt better. I stopped hitting the snooze on my alarm clock in the morning, so it was easier to wake up. And I felt better. I felt more, I was able to recover faster, was what I felt. So I didn't go from, man, I now feel like a teenager again. I never felt that.
Yep.
However, there's a huge difference between how I felt before, previous, and then after taking the product.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, and so you and I, neither one started therapy at a late age. I get a lot of people in their mid-30s. Early on, they know something's starting to happen. It's really time to take an evaluation and see where they are. They say, well, I'll wait. I don't want to start now. And then the decline starts. And we get a lot of people coming to us at 50 and 60 and older to start therapy. And I think one of the things when I look at you, I mean, you're now 53 and you've made some tremendous progress in the last few years. You've really changed you look better now than you did at 35 or 40. But you didn't wait to get started.
No.
I mean, this has been going on for a while.
I think the injury spun me into the process.
Right.
You're still thinking you're kind of invincible to some extent. It's as I look back at it and think through it, the only difference I would have made is adding something, the DECA maybe earlier, or some Anavar or something else to the mix.
Right.
I would say that having somebody to sculpt or to create that program for me was the best. It was the best situation for me because I don't have a medical background. I don't have a science foundation.
Right.
So I'm really dependent and reliant on people like you who have come in and really put a professional face on this aspect.
To your point, sometimes the least knowledgeable patients are the most compliant and get the best outcomes. And here's what I mean. They come to us, we put them on a protocol, we put them on 200 milligrams of testosterone, maybe some Nandrolone, cycle in some Anavar for body composition over time, which you and I we're going to talk about that here in a second. But there's a lot of guys out there that feel like they have some knowledge. They're on one of our advanced protocols of 400 milligrams of testosterone a week, and they just think more testosterone is better. I know you've been on a 400 milligram testosterone protocol. It has some advantages when you're younger, possibly some better outcomes, especially for bigger guys who burn through it. But kind of share your recent experience about maybe keeping the testosterone at 200 and adding in a layer.
So after I started kind of plateauing, I spoke with provider, and it was, why don't we try 400? Let's do 2 shots of 200 each week. So not only do I feel like a pin cushion at this point, I'm like, did I take the shot? Is it Thursday? Is it Wednesday? I didn't feel good from it. I felt uncomfortable. I felt like something was wrong without identifying. I just knew it wasn't healthy for me. So I quickly stopped it, shared with the provider that I wanted to go back to the 200 milligram. However, stacking it with something else becomes more efficient.
Right.
I'm trying to convey how I feel. I'm in better shape today than I've ever been in my life. I've had lower body fat when I did a competition, not a bodybuilding competition, but competition with a bunch of guys, including Jay Humphrey, who I beat. I'm stronger. I'm more agile. I feel better than I ever have, and that's because of taking the protocol, eating better. I eat better today than I ever have.
Right, that's a huge part of it.
Not that I've ever given up too much. I mean, I'll still have a cheat meal. I'll still eat something that maybe I don't normally eat.
Right.
It's a rare occasion, though. Right. So my diet is pretty dialed in.
Talk about that a little bit, if you would. Kind of share with us your diet, because you're like me. You probably don't weigh your food.
No,
I don't have time for weighing food, and you don't. It's not that you won't stop and when we leave here this afternoon and grab food on the go. So
Right.
you're not packing, your car's not full of prepared meals. But talk to the audience a little bit about how to maybe follow what you follow in a reasonable manner and not be a complete,
Yes.
freak about it.
I've tried both. I've tried the pre-made meals and tried to have the, Monday through Friday in the fridge. They never get eaten. I don't eat them.
Right.
So what my typical day looks like is I get up, I go to the gym 5 days a week, and I do fasted cardio for an hour in the morning. That's usually 30 minutes of a recumbent bike and 30 minutes on the stair climber. When I come home from that, it's 5 or 6 eggs, usually 2 whole eggs, 4 egg whites, a bowl of oatmeal, tablespoon of peanut butter, a little bit of honey and blueberries, and then my collagen powder. That's my meal every morning, pretty much. Lunch is going to be white rice and grilled chicken. And then throughout the day, it's really just a combination of those kind of meals. It's more eggs. It's some lean meat. It's some salmon. I don't eat enough vegetables. I know that. Yeah. I need more. So I'll incorporate a salad here and there.
It's interesting how you're talking about this, that it's pretty much the same foods over and over. Would you agree?
It is, yes. And one of the differences, I used to get pleasure from eating the food, and I don't want to make it sound like I don't enjoy the food, because I do. However, the mind shift is it's fuel, not flavor.
Well, have you ever listened to Tim Ferriss? He talks about something in his book, The 4-Hour Body, that's actually very interesting. When someone listens to what you just said, they think, there's no variety in that. I can't eat that. You eat the same things every day. In reality, Tim Ferriss makes a great point. If you look at everyone else's diet, who isn't following any kind of regimen like you, there's really no plan, they still eat the same basic meals every day.
They do.
It's just that when you start to talk about it, or someone, an audience member right now who's thinking, I can't follow that diet. There's no variety in what he just said.
Yeah.
Actually, take a look. You probably eat the same breakfast most days, and you probably have a cycle of meals that you go through. There's not as much variety as you think.
There's not. However, as I've gotten older, what I realize is that I can have the cheat meal. Usually the cheat meal is Sunday. And then I have sections of time where I split off. Right now, I'm not cheating until Thanksgiving. I say cheating. I'm not going to eat something bad.
Right.
I have a goal of getting to this. And then after Thanksgiving, the next goal is Christmas. So I'll stay eating healthy and lean. I never, 10 years ago, if you'd have said, can you eat this way? I'd have said no.
Yep.
I can't. Food is pleasurable. Food is, it releases endorphins. It allows me to feel good when I eat something bad. And now I almost feel more guilty eating something terrible.
Well, you're ruining your progress.
Yeah.
I see it all the time in the work world. Whenever prior to going into sales and then opening my own company, I would watch people in the break room, and they would have a healthy lunch
Right.
or a healthy breakfast, and that meant they deserved a snack. And you have to string together more than just 2 good meals, like you're talking about. It's 6-7 days before one treat comes.
Absolutely.
And then you begin to stretch them out. One of the things I know you made a huge, I remember you sharing some photos with just the vascularity in your legs, and I've witnessed that as well with myself, and it was alcohol. So a lot of people don't want to hear this. I know that it's going to upset you to hear this. It's not that alcohol is going to destroy all of your gains.
Right.
But talk about how you eliminating alcohol pushed you to the next level.
So I've never identified myself as an alcoholic, right? I've had points where I've enjoyed a drink on a regular basis or a couple of drinks. Over the last year, I've really eliminated alcohol completely from my diet. That aspect has changed so many parts of my life. I'm not dependent upon something to help me relax, which it had become a kind of a mental crutch.
Sure.
Additionally, the additional calories. If you do much research on alcohol, they kind of avoid giving very much information. It's liquid fat. It converts to sugar and fat.
Wow.
And so I may go work out. The worst thing in the world for me is to go work out for a month and see no results from it because of what I've put in the body, which destroys. The alcohol is poison.
Well, your liver has 2 options at night. You can either burn if you're following a good diet at night is when you're going to burn your fat while you're sleeping, and your liver does that. It processes the body's fat and eliminates, or it can process the alcohol. My understanding, I'm not a expert in this, but in the research I've done, it has two options. And if you've got alcohol in your system, you're going to process the alcohol.
Well, it's got to keep you from dying first. I mean, it's got to process that
Right.
piece. I also never thought I'd be able to go a year without alcohol, to be honest with you, because it's such a piece. And that's not to say that I won't down the road or even on an occasion, like a holiday or something special.
But it's not part of your daily routine, though.
For now, it's not. Whereas it used to be.
Yep.
For sure.
All right. Talk to us a little bit about your workouts. So you're now 53, obviously. I remember back at LA Fitness, we were throwing around some pretty serious weights, and that's been 10, 15 years ago. But what are you doing these days to be able to stay in it for the long game? How have you made adjustments and yet still continue to either make progress or, stay where you are?
Yeah. So my mind still thinks I'm 25. I would be lying if I said I'm not stronger than I've ever been. I'm stronger than I was in college. I'm stronger than when we used to work out. The difference is I don't pound my body with all that heavy weight. I can still get in the gym and bench 400 and something pounds. I can still put 225 on and do it 15 times. I don't do that very often. Sometimes I'm influenced by who else is in the gym. So if I'm surrounded by some younger guys, I typically tend to push myself. My natural workout is probably very similar to yours. It's lighter weight. It's a lot of
Volume.
concentrated, slower reps, really engaging that particular muscle. I've never gotten to be what a competitive level or big, but that's not, and also that's never been the goal.
Yep.
The goal is to look really good, feel really good,
Right.
And enjoy that aspect of it. Yep. Probably 5 days a week is what I'm lifting right now. And if I miss something, it's lifting.
Yep.
I'll make sure that I do my fasted cardio before.
So that is something I recently talked about on some TikTok recordings and some videos that as we age, and most of the audience right now is in this 35 to 55 or 60 year old age range. That's the people that need to be considering hormone replacement therapy. Used to, weights was the first thing you want to go in the gym and do. And then if I had time, the phone's not ringing,
Right.
wife's not asking, we got to get out the door to a sporting event, then I would do my cardio.
Right.
So what happens? Most of the time, the cardio gets skipped, especially if you had a great workout. You're like, I've already done it.
Yeah.
I did the exact same thing as you. I reversed it. I said, I will not skip the weights because that's the fun part. So I'm going to go in and do cardio first, or I'm going to do like you. And after I drop the kids off at school, I'm going to go directly to the gym, get 30 minutes on the stairs. I'll work out this afternoon or I'll work out after that. But I think what you're saying and what audience needs to hear, if you're struggling with body composition, and cardio's got to be key after a certain age, you've got to put the cardio up front.
You do. And dependent upon how you do the cardio, I do it as a fasted cardio.
Yep.
So I wake up, I have a cup of coffee, and I go straight to my cardio, whether that's at the gym or that's at home. It's just, it wakes me up. I feel amazing after I've done it, and then I fuel up.
Right.
And so it becomes the most effective, efficient way.
Yeah, the science behind that is if you have carbs or you have energy on board, you've got to burn through that glycogen first before you're going to get in fat burning. That means now you've not only got to get to the 30-minute mark, you'd have to go past 30 minutes to 40, 45. So fasted cardio allow you to do less time on the cardio and get there faster.
And it's not super intense. It's a low, I'm stair climbing at a 6 or an 8, and I'm riding the bike at a 5 or 6 kind of resistance. I'm barely breaking a sweat when I move to the stair climber.
Right.
However, it doesn't have to be high impact. It's just, again, and I use that time to listen to worship music. I listen to, business related acumen. I get involved with my day and kind of plan my day. It's my quiet time.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to tell you to speak to that, because I figured you had something like that. I find cardio is terrible if you're just staring there.
It is.
Turn on a podcast,
terrible.
read a book on audio, do something to make 30 minutes go by quickly.
And it's amazing how fast it can go when you're fully engaged in something else.
Right. So obviously you 53, you're looking great. People come to you, we were talking about this before, all the time. What do you do? Obviously you don't do push-ups at the house.
Right.
They'll ask you if you work out, and no, I just naturally wake up out of bed like this.
Yeah.
So, but guys are interested in what you're taking as well. They know that you're not you know, they know you're on the
Absolutely.
testosterone therapy's out there. It's all over.
Yeah.
So they want to know. What do you tell guys that are reluctant or have yet to really take the steps to go get tested and check out their hormone levels?
What have you got to lose? That's kind of how it.
Mm-hmm.
Why postpone finding out what you know or what's in existence? You may not need it.
Mm-hmm.
You may come in and go, hey, my levels are 350, 400, 500.
Mm-hmm.
Don't supplement. You know, maybe it's going to take longer. There are people who don't need the testosterone
Right.
therapy, you know, hormone replacement. The challenge is, what if you're a 50 or 100
Mm-hmm.
and you're walking around basically, you know, not at optimal levels
Right.
where you could be?
Right.
Why would you not want to put yourself there? So that's why I tell them, just go get tested.
Yep.
You know, and I the only other thing that I would preface is a lot of guys will go to like a urologist or their family doctor. I still think there's a lot of ignorance that surrounds the product and the health benefits. However, my urologist just says the same thing. He goes, Nick, he goes, there's no evidence to support that there's anything negative about it. It's optimizing your health. Do it. Feel free. Don't do it to excess. Like anything else, no excess. Find a balance. Find a professional. Find a great company that stands behind their product. Put you on a protocol and follow it.
Right.
You know?
Right. And there's a huge number of doctors out there that just say, well, you're normal. Well, who
Right.
wants to be normal? And by the way, that normal range is really not normal. They're looking at, I mean, the testosterone range, if you look at the numbers on the lab report, and being a lab guy, I know this, spent my degrees in lab medicine, I've worked in labs my whole life.
Right.
How we get normal ranges
Yeah.
is we look at men 18 to 80, we run hundreds and hundreds of tests, and then we come up with what's a normal range.
Right.
It is not a normal range. You know, for my son, probably has a 1500 or better testosterone level. Well, that would be abnormal. So they've just picked something in the middle to say it's normal.
Right.
And what we know from data too is that over the last 100 years, men over 40, 35, this epidemic we kind of have going on is that men used to have a much higher testosterone level way later in life. I don't know if it's a result of the foods we eat, the environmental toxins, but for whatever reason, men over 35, we screen hundreds of men a week and very few come back normal. Very, very few. So there's something going on. And in the past, that wasn't the case. And so there's a lot of doctors out there that'll say things like, well, you're at the normal level.
Right.
Well, I don't want to be normal.
No.
I want to be optimal. I want to perform well at work. I want to perform well in the gym. And I'm not interested in being optimal. I mean, normal.
I mean, you'll change the oil in your car.
Right.
You won't go check your own body,
Yep.
you know, so that you are running at the best rate you can run.
Yep.
I mean, I can tell you
You're
that
putting premium gas in your Lexus, but you're not putting premium in your body.
right,
Exactly.
I want the low octane. I want racing fuel. I mean, I want to feel great,
Yep.
you know, and the times. So one of the things that's changed in this industry is, you know this, we used to take it and then get off of it for months.
Right.
So let your body, what we found out is, what I have been told is that, you know, once you're on it, just stay on it, because other than resetting your system,
Right.
taking some other products to restart, it's just as well off. I can tell you those times when I get off, not manic, however, definitely different.
Right.
That's where I felt and saw a huge
Yep.
difference between how I'm feeling is when I would get off of it.
Yeah, that's an old school. People are thinking steroid cycles. They're
Right.
thinking illegal. You know, going through 6, 8, 10 weeks, 15 weeks of period of time where they're just going to go after
Absolutely.
these huge gains. And now I got to get off and clean out my system. TRT, HRT, hormone replacement therapy is not like that. Like you say, we're going at a moderate level. We're getting back to optimal levels and maintaining that consistently. And the cycling off, that just doesn't make. We still have patients, Nick, come to us and they say, "Oh, I took 2 or 3 months off therapy." Like, why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense. You just tanked you're doing all the things that are terrible for your body.
Right.
And we could get into long discussions about that for sure.
The piece that I like is what Elite Health and online and all these companies, you know, and what you guys have done is really brought more light to the industry, and you've kind of legitimized it, for lack of a better. I mean, everybody knows if you go to the gym and work out, you're going to get approached by somebody trying to sell you something, you know, and then Where did it come from? Is it even real? All the scary aspects of of that sort of piece. Anybody that's spent any amount of time at the gym has run through that experience. And when you do that, that's where I feel uncomfortable with that risk. So testing your blood, finding out where your levels are. Yesterday, my red blood cells were a little high, so I need to, go donate some blood. Finding out those things and staying on top of it, staying aware of those things,
Right.
allow me to feel really good about the decisions that I make.
Yeah, you're monitoring what you're doing.
Everybody is.
Now there's a whole other aspect, Nick, and I want you to talk about this for a second, if you would. There's outside of testosterone, we've been talking a lot about that. We talked about Nandrolone, the benefits to the healing and the joint repair. But there's CJC 1295, there's HGH, there's the DECA, there's so much that the NAD, things that you can do for mental performance. Talk a little bit about any other therapies you've used, and how has testosterone replacement therapy allowed you to continue to be successful in your career? I mean, let's take away the physical part. Let's talk about the mental aspect. So a lot of people don't necessarily want to look a certain way. They want to be healthy.
Right.
But we have a lot of friends that they have no interest in looking like they work out or really caring.
Right. No,
but they want to look fit. But let's talk about the mental side.
So mental clarity is critical, especially in business at the level that you're at, the level that I'm at. Without the mental clarity aspect of it, you're one down. So to have the mental clarity, to have the best situation mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, all the aspects have to be checked. If one's out of balance, it's going to throw everything else out of balance. The ability to focus was probably one of my bigger challenges. I even danced around a little bit with some
ADHD
stuff and realized real quickly my body doesn't have a tolerance for the increase of like the caffeine and the amphetamine aspect of it. It just throws me off. So I have taken the CJC and Pamorlin, saw a lot of benefits from that with regard to mental clarity. I've discontinued the Adderall, the ADHD medication, and wouldn't advise it if you don't.
Absolutely have to.
Absolutely. There's other ways. I think, to be quite honest with you, I wanted a little bit of a cheat to lose some weight, and I think that was kind of my way around it. But it amped me up so much that I couldn't focus. So it absolutely had to go.
Right.
So eliminating those pieces of it. But when I'm meeting with a guy trying to sell a big program, I'm trying to sell a stadium, I'm trying to do something along those lines, I've got to be sharp. I've got to be able to answer my questions. I've got to know more than anybody else.
Right.
I've got to study the game. I've got to prepare for it, my playbook, every aspect of that. So that's given me an edge for sure, without a doubt.
Well, let's just be honest. I mean, and people know this, it doesn't mean that if you're not in great shape, you don't have a great mind. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to do a great professional job. But when you show up to do a deal and you're taking care of your physical body, just like when I was a sales managing sales people, I looked at the inside of their car.
Right.
How are you taking care of your car? It says a lot about you. And I think that in the world of executives and people doing deals and running companies, it says a lot about how you take care of yourself, of how you're going to take care of the business, how you're going to take care of the client, that sort of thing.
It does. I can tell you my car is spotless. Even after it rains, I'm pretty dedicated to it. All aspects of my life. I'm very organized, and I didn't used to be. A lot of that has changed. The older I get, the more dialed in my program, the better I am.
Well, yeah, more of our buddies just have no room for alcohol anymore. They don't have time for it. It's just not. It's not benefiting them in any way. So they're more focused, and I think that's really the take home for the audience is there's a lot of guys out there that just know it. They're not running optimum. Right. They're not near there. They feel like it's just past their time. And I think in listening to you today, you can realize that that doesn't have to be the case.
It's Clay. I think it's an easier decision. I think people typically, this is personal. Most people live in a state of fear, and they're afraid to find out what their numbers are. They're afraid something else is going on. I'd much rather deal with a known. I'd much rather know, hey, my numbers are great. some other aspect of my life is off, whether that's my spirituality, whether that's my health, whatever that is. And operating from a place of known instead of a place of fear, a place of strength, of encouragement, so much easier. And if you knew me 15, 20 years ago, I wasn't that way.
Yep.
You know, I had my spirituality dialed in. My food was horrific.
Yep.
I ate the whole bowl of queso, the whole bag of chips, the candy. I was fearful that I was going to become diabetic because of the amount of candy I was eating. You know, and I still enjoy the candy. I still will every once in a while grab some candy, but it's not the whole bag.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's the changes. It's the little refinements each year, cutting creamer out of my coffee and, you know, adding in.
And you don't go from here to here.
You don't.
You
No,
gotta slow down.
it's little decisions along the way. And each time I make a decision, it typically benefits me. And if it doesn't, then go back.
Yeah. If you ever cut sugar, and I mean really cut sugar,
Right.
you will realize how different your joints feel, how it's a game changer.
Yeah.
But you have no idea till you cut it. And it's hard to do. And then when you really almost don't even, it's so gradual. You don't know until you start adding it back. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait a minute. Now I noticed.
It's the same with our diet. Most people don't think they eat poorly until they write down everything that they eat in a week's time.
Yeah.
And that's not to shame anybody. I'm guilty of it myself. When I look back over what I would eat, I go, well, I didn't eat that. I really did. I wasn't giving my body the fuel. And once, you know, there's that month when you cut out sugar, you cut alcohol, there's a bad time for a short period of time. It's like anything else, trying to do a diet or cutting weight or anything. When you get from the one side to the other, you just feel great. You know, I was expressing to you that with this new program that I'm working on, really dialing the meal, I haven't had much energy. That changed about a week ago. And so now
You went through
I went through the storm. I've come out on the other side, and I'm not planning on going back.
Yeah.
You know, Thanksgiving I'm going to eat a lot of food. Don't get me wrong, and enjoy a lot of that. However, not every day, not every meal.
Yeah, it's excellent. Hey, and wrapping up here, it's been great having you. Talk a little bit about just your experience with the Elite Health Online versus your experience with other clinics.
Yes,
you know, one of our 3 uniques that we try to say that we do, Nick, is we're trying to appeal to guys like you. They're busy, they're executives, they're all over. And so we want to be convenient, comprehensive. You can get everything you need here. We're going to make it as convenient as we possibly can. You got to go get some lab work 2 times a year.
Right.
A little bit of inconvenience, but that's to your point. You need that. You need to know your numbers, and we need to watch your blood work.
Right.
Comprehensive. You can get everything here, and you know, and progressive. We're not just giving you these places they go and they get a half a cc a test a week and they don't really make an impact. Talk about your experience a little bit on Elite Health Online versus some other options you've seen.
It's very familiar. I just had my follow-up appointment yesterday at 4 o'clock. I visited with Michelle, and I want to tell you, Michelle, you did a great job. You were very informative and comprehensive. When I would go to the other clinics, it was very much, this is what you were taking, here's your script. Anything else? You know,
What'd you get, 6 or 7 minutes tops?
Tops. And in this situation, I'm expressing to Michelle, how I'm feeling, what changes have gone on, is there any abnormalities? We went over my blood work extensively. My creatine was a little high, and then, you know, however, there were no concerns. You know? So that allows me to feel really good about what I'm doing. Michelle threw out a couple of options. I asked her about a weight loss injection. And she said, Nick, if you're trying to lose 50 pounds, maybe, but with your diet and the way you're dialed in, I think the Anavar will really give you that extra energy. I think I'm probably around 12% body fat today, just as a guess. And I've been as much as 30 or 35% in the past. But I feel very comfortable that I'm somewhere around 12% body fat. So really mine is trying to lose little pieces.
Yeah, it's the last little bit. Yep.
It is. I mean, I've got I feel really good about how I look. I want to express that I feel very comfortable online with Elite. I love the fact that I can be in my car, have that consultation. I don't have to drive 45 minutes north. I don't have to go into a clinic every week. You know, depending upon your level of comfort, get the protocol, follow the protocol.
Yep.
You know, and I can do it from the privacy of my own home.
Well, and hopefully the goal here, and we're going to talk about this on some other podcast with my business partner, we want you to be able to be the CEO of your life. You know what I mean? You take walk into your general practitioner the way you are today. They're not going to want to give you any time. You're not sick.
Right.
They're not going to give you. Were we on the phone with Michelle for 20 minutes?
At least.
Yeah.
At least 20
and
minutes.
I don't know people with cancer diagnosis that get 20 minutes with the doctor.
Right.
Seriously.
It was a hurry up, and I'm sitting in a lobby with 7 or 8 other people at the other provider, and it's a get it in, get it out. You know, almost like a cattle show or something.
Yep.
You know, it doesn't feel as it isn't as personalized.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
I can call and ask questions anytime. I've got my patient portal that I can access. I can see what I'm doing. When I'm due, you know, for refills. And then additionally, there's other products that if you want a thermogenic, if you want something else, it's almost like going to a convenience store. I can pick what I want.
Right. Goes to the provider.
Let's talk about, does this interfere with this? Does this benefit?
Right.
Am I double dipping?
Right.
You know,
Yep.
so that aspect of it, I do enjoy.
It's been a pleasure having you today.
You as well. Good to see you, man.
Hey, folks, thanks for joining today. Please tune in to additional episodes of the Elite Health and Wellness Show where we talk to pharmacists, we talk to doctors, we talk to patient testimonials just like we had with Nick here today. If you're not a patient yet and you're interested in optimizing your life, performing at the very best you can, check us out at elitehealthonline.com. We'd love to take care of you there and have you join and look like Nick here and feel like Nick. So thanks for being with us today and check us out on future episodes.